Okay, everybody, we are live. Let's make sure the live stream has gone up on our account before we really get into the nitty gritty. Also, welcome. If you're here, you're probably here for the first time onto this podcast because we normally would upload this podcast onto a different channel, but this is kind of where it belongs. So this is where it's going to stay. So good to have you, everybody. Whether you're a longtime subscriber of mine or you are not, either way, let us know. Can't seem to find my YouTube channel on YouTube. I'm just gonna trust that it's up right now. We're not gonna get into the nitty gritty. We want to get into the show. Okay. So this is our co-host. Welcome to the Unnamed Podcast. It doesn't have a name yet. James Nichols. Everybody, let's get a round of applause for James Nichols real quick. Yes. You want to go ahead and just say hi to the crowd and say what's up to everybody?
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be here.
He's glad to be here, by the way. So let's
Pretty
keep this.
cool.
What's cool? You like that sound effect? You like that? It was pretty good, right? I'm glad you like that.
No,
All right.
but
Let's see. Are we live? Are we currently live? Well, I see it on our channel. However, it does not look as though we are actually live. Sorry, everybody. Give me just 1 minute while we get this going. I want to make sure you guys can actually see me before we really get into it, because I'd hate to just be talking to a camera and nobody actually hears what we're saying. Okay, yep, we're good to go. Okay, we're live. So today, everybody, we have a handful of interesting topics to get to. Now, if you're unfamiliar with our show and what we do here, we mostly talk about the news and we give our political opinions sometimes. You know, we'll sprinkle some political opinions in there. For the most part, we try to keep it news and fact-based for the most part. And we have some pretty big stories that we want to talk to you guys about. I think one of the most important stories that is going on right now, if you live in the United States, is the government shutdown. Okay. I'm sure everybody in here knows that the government is currently shut down. Now, do you understand why the government is shut down is the question. So this is an article that was written by CBS today at 4:22 p.m., which was approximately Eastern EDT. So that was approximately 2-3-ish hours ago. Okay. The 2025 federal government shutdown stretched its second day on Thursday with no signs of an imminent resolution, as Republicans and Democrats traded accusations of who to blame for the funding lapse. President Trump said he would be meeting with Russ Vought, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, to see which programs Vought recommends to be cut. The White House moved to pause or cancel billions in funding for projects in blue states on Wednesday. Sheesh, I'm really showing my southern accent right there, aren't I? Ramping up pressure on Democrats. The Senate adjourned without voting on Thursday in observance of the Yom Kippur holiday. Yom Kippur, however you say that. Senators remain divided over a House bill to extend funding for 7 weeks, with Democrats demanding an extension of healthcare tax credits and restrictions on the president's ability to unilaterally rescind funding. Okay, so this is something that oh, we lost you guys. This is something that, depending on who you talk to, they're going to tell you a different reason as to why this is happening right now. Okay, so people on the right are going to tell you that what it is the Democrats essentially want Medicaid and the ACA to benefit illegal immigrants. Okay, that is essentially what you're going to hear from Republicans. And you have a lot of Democratic leaders who aren't necessarily saying they don't support it. What they'll tell you is they support healthcare for everyone who needs it. And now that's a noble cause, right? But actually doing that is something different. What the Democrats will tell you about the Republicans is that they want to get rid of the ACA. They don't want to re-sign it. And they essentially want to take away healthcare from millions of Americans. Now, obviously, just like a lot of other things, the answer's in the middle, okay? Obviously, both sides are to blame. When a government shuts down, you know, I will say the Republicans do have control of the House, the Senate, and, you know, obviously the president. Okay, so they control all three of the major key parts when it comes to passing bills. However, That doesn't necessarily mean that this is all on the Republicans. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we get into this next news story. Okay. So leave your comments on what you think about that specific instance. Let us know, because I'm curious what you have to say. And we will, like I said, give our opinions on that at the very end. All right. Our next story. Trump gives Qatar unprecedented security guarantee after Israeli attack. Okay, so what does that mean? That means President Trump signed on Monday an executive order to provide Qatar a U.S. secretary guarantee with conditions similar to NATO's Article 5, according to the text of the order published by the White House. Why it matters: this is an unprecedented security agreement between the U.S. and an Arab country. It says the U.S. will treat any armed attack of the country as a threat to the peace and security of the United States. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter? Like, who cares, right? They're Qatar. They have money. Okay, obviously, they've been a bit of our allies, but not to this extent. So get this. The reason Trump decided to do this is because literally a day prior, before he made this announcement, guess who made an attack on Qatar? Just throw it. Just throw a name out there of somebody, of a group of people that live in the Middle East that are doing a lot of fucked up shit right now. Name a group. I'll tell you. It was Israel. Okay, Israel fucking bombed Qatar, and literally the day that Netanyahu comes to the White House, he says this right in front of Netanyahu, not giving him any prior warning at all, and just drops it. And he forced Netanyahu to issue Qatar an apology in the White House, which, hold on, you know, we can all say what we want about Trump, but we got to admit that was nice. We like to see that. Okay. So again, we don't want to get too much into the opinions right now. We want everybody to get through the news part first, but leave your comments on that. Hell, leave multiple comments. It helps the algorithm push this video out so people can see more and see what we're trying to do here. So yeah, leave us a comment and let us know what you think. Our next story. FBI is cutting ties with the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, who is most notably known for protecting Israeli interests, mostly used to protect Israeli interest. Okay, so let's see. The reason that Kash Patel is citing that he's done with the ADL is over James Comey. Now, you might be wondering, who is James Comey? Now, if you don't know who James Comey is, you probably haven't been looking at politics for the last 8 years. Okay, you probably just haven't, because he was part of the Russia collusion, Russiagate, you know, saying that, you know, basically Trump took all this money from Russia, and without actually having a lot of evidence to back up what he said, he lied to Congress, he lied under oath multiple times, and now he's going to prison. So this is all confirmed. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Kash Patel, but this was the statement that the FBI made. James Comey wrote love letters to the ADL and embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran disgraceful ops spying on Americans. Patel said in his post, "That era is over. This FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs." Okay, Cole. Sorry, James. How interesting is it that we have the director of the FBI sitting here telling us that the era of masquerading as watchdogs with political fronts is over, right? That's what the director of the FBI just said like a day ago. When was this article written? It was written October 1st. It was written a day ago. Okay. So check this out. I'm going to put this on the big screen so everybody can see, because I really want you guys to see this. Boom. Let's get that full screen. Let's make that one big. All right. Threat detection theatrics. Aaron Cohen's AI surveillance tool and domestic spies. Okay. Now let's make sure everything comes back on stream before we do this. Yep. Okay. Everybody can see it. Good. So, threat detection theatrics. You can still see it big, right? James?
I can't see it.
You can't see it? You can't see it at all. Click on it. Make it bigger on your screen.
Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha.
All right, we're good now? Okay. Now I'm gonna people watching at home, I'm going to make sure you guys can see this as I scroll through it. So if I pause for just any moment, that's what I'm doing. So threat detection theatrics. Now remember what we were just talking about. Kash Patel and the FBI and espionage is over. Threat detection theatrics, Aaron Cohen's AI surveillance tool in domestic spy machines. Aaron Cohen had another Fox News appearance a few days ago, echoing the same claims. America's first AI threat detection system, including the entire existing industry, SocialNet, Flock Safety, Clearview AI, Veritone, Data First Alert, etc. This time, the messaging leveraged the recent Minneapolis school shooting to try and sell AI surveillance tool Gideon. Okay, remember that name, Gideon. All right, and it looks like you guys actually cannot see. So let me go ahead and change this so that way you guys can see. Boom. All right, you'll be able to see that. Sorry about that, by the way. Comment. We love the Blaze Politics show if you're still watching. Let's see. So Gideon, apparently it's launching next week. Expect another set of eyes on your digital footprint. In a story that's equal parts dystopian and deja vu, Aaron Cohen, a former IDF operative and actor turned Fox News commentator, recently pitched an AI-powered threat detection system designed to preemptively identify mass shooters and domestic threats. The system, if implemented, would reportedly draw on public available data, social media, purchase histories, online behavior, and run it through a proprietary model trained to flag pre-attack indicators. Now, think about that. Pre-attack indicators is what we're talking about right now, okay? Cohen isn't a fringe voice. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like, I'm just listening to this, and I'm like, how is this legal? Like, how
It's not. It's against.
this totally sounds like a violation of like privacy.
It is. It is. It's 100% illegal.
Like, and like you said, they're masquerading it as like, oh, we could prevent this and, save people from this. And it's like, yes, that's a great idea, but look at what you're doing.
And this is a program that's already been implemented in Israel. That's where all this stuff is coming from. The actual director of all this was an IDF counter espionage. What would you wouldn't call that a soldier. You would call that basically, somebody who holds one of those positions. Okay. A high ranking official. He worked in espionage and counter espionage. But behind the buzzwords of AI and safety lies something much older and darker: the normalization of mass data collection without oversight. SocialNet, similar tool, has been described by Jeremy Scott, senior counsel at Epic, which is a game developer company, as part of an unchecked surveillance ecosystem that lacks any meaningful transparency, oversight, or accountability. Let me repeat that to you guys. Senior counsel at Epic as a part of described this as an unchecked surveillance ecosystem that lacks any meaningful transparency, oversight, or accountability. Okay. Now, this is somebody who, if you know, Epic is who owns Fortnite. Can you imagine? Okay, guys, sorry. I know we said we were going to get into politics, but just real quick, bear with me on this. Can you imagine if your son or daughter or niece or nephew or cousin or whatever is playing Fortnite and they're under the age of 18 and they go and put their personal information, where they live, their mom's credit card, whatever else, your zip code, all this very personal information, right? That's stuff that if this Gideon program gets what it wants, Epic will have no choice but to provide that information to this agency. They will have no choice. And there's nobody in the White House right now protecting it. There's nobody in Senate or in the House that's fighting against this. And my personal theory is, and I've said this to you, James, personally, off record, I think part of the problem is where our Congress and our government is so old. They don't know. They don't understand what's coming. I gave Trump praise earlier. Now I'm going to give him some not praise. If you're on Twitter, if you're on what's his app called? Truth Social. If you're on Truth Social, you will see the shit that Donald Trump posts, and a lot of it, he posts AI shit to troll people. Now, I don't think he realizes how potentially, I don't know, the door that you open when the United States of the president of the United States, God, I said that backwards, is posting memes online that were created by AI that are intended to look real and to poke fun. Like, that's not good. That's a very, I don't have a true word for it. I know that sounds very like kid, oh, it's not good. Like, I don't have a bigger word for it right now. I'm sorry. Because I haven't given this issue much thought thinking like this. Just reading through this, it made me realize how serious that could be. I mean, really, right now it's all funny games, but who's to say that, in the future that people aren't posting AI videos in an effort to make you believe something is real that it's not, and it's highly believable, and you have no idea how to tell the difference. You know what I mean? You've got all this stuff going on in the world, and our president wants to post memes that are AI created in an effort to poke fun. I just, we're not gonna get into opinions yet, so I just wanted to throw that out there. So let's go ahead and get into our next story. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of this window capture. Let's open Discord back up and close this. By the way, if everybody's enjoying the stream so far, let's check the comment section, make sure we're not missing any comments. Okay, yep, we're good so far. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please do hit that like button. It helps us out in the algorithm a ton. We do have members if anybody feels like becoming a member, but subscribing also. Please, before you become a member, subscribe, all right? More than anything, before you do that, subscribe, please. And if you're watching from one of our shorts that we post, welcome, good to have you. Subscribe. Anyway, let's keep going. Trump unveils sweeping peace plan for Gaza that he says Israel accepts. Okay, so the reason I actually wanted to cover this story was because not long ago, Netanyahu was talking about leveling the Gaza Strip completely and turning it into a shopping mall. You remember talking about that, right, James?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was not that long ago that they were talking about completely.
He was trying to make that deal with Egypt to evacuate Palestinians.
Exactly.
It was like, we're not having any of that.
Exactly. And there's a reason. So now, and they've actually done a lot of damage to the Gaza Strip. I saw a before and after video. It's just insane the amount of damage that has happened in the Gaza Strip. But going over this plan, this was an article written by ABC. President Donald Trump on Monday fast-tracked his administration's efforts to secure peace in Gaza, rolling out a detailed vision for a U.S.-backed ceasefire that the White House says will bring the war to an immediate end. He said Israel has accepted the proposal, but the success of the plan hinges on the cooperation of Hamas. We're at a minimum, very, very close, Trump said during a news conference. Let's see. There we go. Oh, that's much better. So that we don't have to worry about the thing going away. Hell yeah. We're at a minimum, very, very close, Trump said during a news conference alongside Netanyahu at the White House. Speaking alongside the president, Netanyahu appeared to sign off of the proposal. Wait, hold on. Speaking alongside the president, Netanyahu appeared to sign off on the proposal. Okay, so he agreed to it. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East. Okay, so let's be honest. We've heard this story a bunch of times. The thing that I'm interested in is what are they going to do if Hamas decides they don't want to do that, because they've already assassinated multiple of their leaders, multiple of their, the people that are in charge over there. They've assassinated a ton of them. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about Hamas. Will they really ever go away? If you assassinate all the people at the top, and get rid of a lot of the soldiers. Is Hamas really going to go away? That's kind of the question that I have. Hamas did not immediately respond to comments from the president or the prime minister, but an official familiar with the negotiations said mediators had not yet fully briefed the group on the latest peace plan. Shortly before Trump and Netanyahu addressed the reporters, the White House released a 20-point plan which calls for the release of all Israeli hostages held in Gaza within 72 hours of Israel accepting the agreement. And this was written 3 days ago. So I guess time's up. Unless there's an update. If somebody has an update that we're not covering on this situation and you want to let us know, please let us know. Share some feedback. We would love to have updates on this stuff. All right. So, what have we gotten through so far? We've gotten through Gideon. And there's a video I wanted to show you guys. But I don't seem to have it. Oh, I do. I do have it. Here we go. I'll make sure you can hear it too. What the hell? Well, I want to go away. There we go. All right.
Built to detect threats online before they become attacks.
Aaron Cohen, Gideon AI trailer. Let's play it very quickly.
Gideon is the first real-time AI system built to detect threats online before they become attacks. Anonymous networks flagging behavior, predicting danger. We don't get a second chance. Let's not miss the next one.
15 seconds, Aaron. You're talking about stopping mass shootings, attacks in Boulder before they start.
Trace, I'm building the first AI-driven threat prediction platform for law enforcement. They're flying blind right now. I've got an elite team of engineers from Palantir. I've got law enforcement agencies lined up. 76% of these mass attackers posted some type of grievance online. This is America's early warning detection system. If you're a chief out there, reach out to me and get on my pilot. And if you're a VC, I'm about to open my seed round. Partner with me, and let's make America safe again and get cops the tools they need.
All right. So did you hear that? All right. So that's the guy that wants to take your freedoms from you, by the way.
Shutdown left critical U.S. infrastructure vulnerable
Shut
to
the hell
cyber
up.
attacks. Now, the cybersecurity...
Nobody asked for your opinion. All right. Let's get this pulled back up. All right. So that's the guy that wants to take away your freedoms, by the way. That's the guy who's in charge of the Gideon program. And I highly encourage you guys, if you do not know what Palantir is, I highly encourage you guys to go do so. Okay, moving on. Russia has used drones to intimidate other countries in Europe, and who else? It was Sweden, Poland, Norway. That's just Europe. So you could just say Europe. He's basically terrorizing Europe with drones, okay? Because they don't know where these drones are coming from. There have been reports that some of them are Chinese espionage drones, but we're not going to make that claim because nothing is confirmed yet. I'm just giving you the things that people know, okay? So as far as these drones go, in September 2025, multiple Russian drones entered Polish airspace, prompting a swift response from NATO and raising concerns about regional security. On September 9th and 10th, 2025, 19 to 23 Russian drones reportedly crossed into Polish airspace, allegedly launched from Russia. This incursion triggered a quick reaction alert, leading the Polish Air Force and NATO allies to scramble aircraft to intercept the drones. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, that's wild, Donald Tusk, described the situation as a direct threat and the Polish government invoked Article 4 of the NATO treaty, which allows for constituents among member states in response to perceived threats, which basically means they can get other countries involved if they want to. NATO's involvement, NATO forces, including Dutch and Polish fighter jets, were involved in shooting down several of the drones. This marked a significant moment as it was the first time NATO allies actively engaged to neutralize such threats from Russian drones. The drones caused damage in residential areas, particularly in the villages of Weriki and Kazasnovka. Kazasnovka. Although no casualties were reported, the Polish government faced scrutiny over its preparedness in response to the incident. Shit. So part of this whole thing was what people think happened was Russia was trying to test how quickly Poland and NATO could basically get up into the air when they found out that they had been breached. And apparently, what we're being told is it took up to 6 minutes for actual Poland and NATO planes to get in the sky, just to get in the sky. So not good, something they're going to have to work on, obviously. And I would say they probably have been. I would say a lot of people are on their heels right now when it comes to Russia. So anyway, moving on. Ukraine nuclear power plant enters 5th day on emergency power, and it's actually worse than that. This was on September 27th. So you got to think, today is October 2nd. So this was like 5 days ago. Yeah. So the situation is much worse at this power plant. I'm going to explain that to you guys. But Ukraine nuclear plant enters 5th day on emergency power as Zelensky announces $90 billion arms deal. And yes, you could imagine who he's getting them $90 billion from. Ukraine's Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear. You guys, listen. I know you guys are laughing. But if you were looking at this word that I'm trying to say out loud right now, okay, you wouldn't be laughing. You'd feel bad for me, okay? So let's see. Where was I at? Okay. The nuclear power plant entered its 5th day running on emergency generator Saturday, prompting mounting safety concerns. President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, announced a $90 billion arms agreement with the United States and criticized Hungary for carrying out dangerous intelligence-gathering drone activities over Ukraine. External power to the power plant, Europe's largest, has been cut for more than 4 days, which is actually 10 now? Yeah, 4. Let's see. 4 days and then 5, so yeah, like 9-10 days. Yeah, so it's getting bad, and I'm just gonna go ahead and explain to you guys why that's bad. Okay, now I'm not a nuclear physicist, I'm not a nuclear scientist, okay, but from what I understand, think of a car. This is what I've been told. Think of a car, think of both petrol and diesel motors. Okay, both. You fire up the engine gets warm because it's obviously generating heat. You shut the car off. Yeah, the car's going to be hot for an hour or two, but eventually the car cools down on its own through, natural cooling, the way the world does. Nuclear reactors are not that way. Nuclear reactors get so hot that even if the reactor itself is turned off, the mere existence of the components and the elements that they use generate so much heat that they have to have pumps continuously running to cool them down. They will not cool down naturally on their own means. Okay, it won't happen. And what's happening right now is, with the power being shut off, not only is the nuclear reactor not running, the cooling pumps are not working. And this is what will lead essentially to a meltdown, what is known as a meltdown, okay? Where, they're saying it's not going to be as bad as Ukraine, okay? Because Ukraine was a totally different scenario anyway. But
talking about Chernobyl?
Chernobyl, yeah, what did I say, Ukraine?
Yeah, well...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's in Ukraine, yeah, but yeah, they're saying it's not going to be as bad as Chernobyl, but still, it's not good. It's a environmental hazard from hell. Okay, good luck cleaning that shit up. So let's see. That's basically everything that we have on that for now. Just be updated and watch that story because it's going to be an active and developing story. And watch for us to upload again very soon because I expect that to be a highly volatile and fluid situation. Okay. Russia's gas shortage. Right now, Russia is facing an extreme gas shortage. Okay. So extreme that they're now actively, as we speak, importing all of their oil that they are using, not only for the military, but also for commercial citizens that they put in their cars. They're having to give out free gas vouchers, okay? Because right now they just don't have any gas. They've been importing all of their oil. It's expensive. It's expensive, expensive. And apparently they're buying it from China. And China's told them, look, we can only do this for a certain amount for so long. This isn't going to be you buy however much you want for how long as you want. This is a very limited thing that we're just trying to do to help you get by. Russia is set to import gasoline from Asia to offset a growing fuel shortage since Ukrainian attacks have disrupted nearly 40% of the country's oil refining capacity, it has been reported. Business Daily Commerçant said Russia will look to China and other allies in Asia for gasoline following Ukrainian drone and missile strikes on Russia refineries. Some of which have been forced to halt production indefinitely. Berlin-based energy expert Thomas O'Donnell told Newsweek that Ukraine is now producing and successfully launching drones at oil facilities faster than Russia's able to repair them. So that's kind of what the situation that Russia is facing right now as far as it comes to Ukraine. And with them invading foreign airspaces, there's a chance they're going to have to be active on multiple fronts. Are they going to be able to do that if they have an oil shortage? I guess we'll have to find out. Hopefully we don't. While Russia's state media does not criticize the Kremlin, there is some leeway in its coverage of economic problems, and outlets have been reporting the long queues for service stations across the country that have caused motorists anger. And an energy superpower, shortages at the pump pose a political problem for Vladimir Putin, who has tried to portray his aggression in Ukraine as not impacting the daily lives of Russians. Ukrainian drone strikes have hit Russia's oil refining industry hard, forcing refinery shutdowns and restrictions on how much motorists can purchase. All right. So that's the news from Russia. I think that's basically everything that we have. The only other thing that I can think of, I'm gonna have to look at my notes. You done made me do it. You guys done made me do it. It's on now. China preparing to invade Taiwan. Okay, now this is just an honorable mention. This is something that we have seen people talking about, but it's one of those things people have been talking about it for a while. Nobody really necessarily knows, but the reports are that they're gearing up for war in Taiwan. And the meeting I'm sure you all heard about, the meeting that all of our top generals attended on Tuesday afternoon in Virginia. Okay, it is being reported that the goal of this meeting was all about Iran. Okay, we have several tankers. I believe they're called tankers, refueling tankers, the ones who go up in the sky with the fuel tanks, so that way in case your plane needs fuel or your jet needs fuel, that's where you go. We have, I think it's 12 right now, heading toward Iran or around Iran. Okay, and this comes after basically Israel said, we're going to strike Iran. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's coming. They're continuing their nuclear program, and we don't like that. So we're going to strike. So that's what's being reported, and that's what everybody's saying. And we do have to say, this has never happened before. All these generals being called into one place for a big meeting like that, that's unprecedented. So they've got big plans. You don't do that just because, you want to have brunch on Tuesday afternoon. That's not what that's about. They didn't all drink mimosas and, pancakes and eat pancakes. You know what I mean? That's not what it was there. That's not what they were there for. So, Guys, that's everything that we got on the news as far as bringing you the facts and new information that we have. I fully anticipate us to possibly make a video either tomorrow, and it might be a solo. I don't know what James has got going on tomorrow. I'll be pretty busy tomorrow, but depending on what happens and how much support we get on this video, and if people want to see another one, then we'll try to get one out. Because a lot of this stuff is actively happening right now. Like the situations are probably going to be a lot different 24 to 48 hours from now. Okay, so I've talked a lot, James. For your friends that are watching, hopefully I didn't run them off and just talk their freaking heads off. You know, for all the people you're going to recommend this to, Cole's or James's friends. You guys are probably used to calling him either James or Cole. I don't know, but we're just going to refer to him as James. I hope you guys like the setup. We're very much in the Halloween spirit. You can see that light up there. If I turned it on, you'd probably be able to see it pretty good. You can't see it so good on my other setups, but
Shut up. Jealous.
yeah, I mean, this guy's my favorite. He's pretty sick. Just you guys wait till we break out the cat. No, it's not a cat. Well, we do have a cat. The cat is the light. We have a bat that we're going to debut. Okay. All right. When we get, I'll tell you what, when we get our first member, if we can get 20 subscribers or our first member of the channel, which is like $5 or whatever, we'll bring out the bat for the next stream. All right. And one of these guys will get replaced. I'm thinking this guy's going to get replaced. I like him. He doesn't have enough going on. He needs to be brighter. We need some more light there. But yeah. So anyway, go ahead, James. Let's hear your thoughts and get some of your opinions out there before we head out of here.
I think some of like the U.S. alliances here are like interesting because it's like you and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago when before the United Nations like meeting where like Britain and like France and Australia and Canada, I believe Canada as well, all recognized a Palestinian state. So like it kind of put the U.S. in this position where it's like one of the few countries, or one of the only countries I think,
Who
that doesn't
didn't?
recognize the Palestinian state. And so it's like had this weird tie with Israel, and now you're having this general meeting with Iran because Israel has this problem with Iran, and at the same time you have a problem with the Chinese and the Taiwan situation where pretty much I believe like in the 70s, Taiwan lost their seat in the United Nations, and it's always been replaced by the People's Republic of China. And even the United States recognized that Taiwan as part of China. So it's like it's weird that we're the only country holding on to these weird notions of who belongs to who and what can be a state and what can't be a state, whereas we're like the outliers. It puts us in this weird strategic thing.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's an honorable mention. I forgot to tell you guys that I believe it was France, Germany, a lot of European countries in the surrounding areas this previous week. I don't believe it was this week. It was last week. They all recognized the Palestinian state basically over Israel. You know what I mean? So, and like James said, it's this conflicting interest where, we align with foreign countries, but we apparently align with Israel more than anybody. So much so that they have APAC and foreign lobbying, and they're allowed to just pay our politicians to say what they want them to say. And that's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's no problem. That's not illegal. Ted Cruz can get, how much was it? I think it was like $7 million. He can get $7 million from APAC and go on and say, I love Israel and they're our biggest, they're our biggest ally, but if you get money from China, to make a new pizza shop, I'm not a super advocate for China, but you get my point. If we're going to have rules for thee, it needs to be applied across the board and without exception. The ADL, the APAC, all this shit. What other foreign country has all this kind of shit in our country? Nobody. So
that the whole situation was like doubly irritating for me because it's like, well, one, it's great to recognize a Palestinian state, but what does that change? Like, what's
Yeah.
happening on the ground, And then it's also like frustrating to see the U.S. like still strongly back. I'm not gonna say Israel. I'm gonna say the Israeli government and Netanyahu because those are the main antagonists here, and it's like
Yeah.
strongly back him when there's clearly a humanitarian crisis.
Yes,
Gaza.
exactly. Well, I don't want to say the G word. Apparently, if you say the wrong words, you get thrown into algorithm hell. But
Oh,
the G
same.
word, you know, that one. So
So-
let's see. How long have we been going, guys? We've been going for, let me look.
like 40 minutes, I think, something like that.
Yeah, 40 minutes, 40 minutes. So, all right. Well, I think I've about got everything out. The only thing that I would say is, over everything else that we've said in the past, and anybody who's still watching, also, if you're still watching, you're a legend. Thank you so much. If you've seen our previous videos, you've probably got a different sense of the things that I was going to say tonight, because I've said different things in the past, and I'll be first to tell you guys, I mistakenly had more faith in Donald Trump than I should have. And now when I say faith, obviously I don't mean from a religious sense. What I mean is we had a wide open border at the time. Okay. We had a lot of restrictions that were being placed on weapons, basically taking away freedom of speech. YouTube has already apologized and said, yes, we took down videos because the government asked us to. Mark Zuckerberg came out and said, yes, I had to take down Facebook posts because the government asked me to. Okay, mass surveillance, mass censorship. And now you flip the coin, and now you've got him going too hard on immigration and deportation, going too hard on the, overturning Roe v. Wade when it's up to the states in the first place. Why touch it? Why? The politicalization, the weaponization of Charlie Kirk. Okay. All of these things we're noticing, the Epstein files, he just wants us to forget about it. That makes no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. I don't support it. I think it's horseshit. Okay. I just had to say that. So. All right. Any last remarks? I guess we're just going to go ahead and roll up out of here.
I guess we have to keep an eye on the situation in Ukraine. Well, particularly this nuclear plant, because I almost feel, I think everyone might feel that way, that it's clearly intentional.
Oh yeah, yes, 100%. Well, they said it was intentional, and they're so strict. Like Israel, they're like, Hamas has 72 hours to accept our agreement, or we don't fucking take it. Like, dude, that's not how diplomacy works. That's just a fact. That's not how diplomacy works. So anyway, guys, so we didn't get any live questions. We didn't get any chatters. We're only live on YouTube right now. That might change in the future. But guys, if you want to catch us live, if you want to ask us some questions, if you're watching this on a replay, come to our live streams. We'll try to build a schedule. If we go live, you can almost guarantee it's going to be probably from around like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, anywhere from 5 to like 8, I would say is our, and 8 is really pushing it. 6 to 7 seems to be our sweet spot. So if you guys want to come over here, and find us, hit that notification bell. It'll tell you when we go live and when we upload, so you don't miss anything. Hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, we're gonna get out of here.
I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Oh yeah, good talks. We'll see you all next time.